Hello and welcome to the video, guys. We're going to be taking a look at the T-832 today. Finally, I've been waiting to get this vehicle and to check it out and play it and let you guys know what I think. So here we are. This is going to be a really good brawling kind of game that I think you will enjoy quite a bit in the Terminator, I guess, 832. To spoil it for you guys, in case you have no idea what this thing is, it's just a T-32. That's all it is. It's a T-32 with a more accurate gun and ever so slightly more view range, and that's really it. There's nothing different about it in terms of the actual body of the tank. Everything is exactly the same. I'm just gonna have to leave this like this because it's not working again. Everything is exactly the same on this vehicle. It's got a nice skin to it, but there is nothing crazy to note about it other than it's a T-32. I feel like the T-32 doesn't get played at all, so I think the expected values are a lot lower for it than they are in this vehicle, and I'll kind of talk about that in a moment. But other than that, guys, just keep in mind this is not a new vehicle or anything really. It's just a reskinned T-32 with a more reliable gun and really nothing more. So with this vehicle, what you need to do is get hold down. You have to be hold down at all times in this tank, guys. I'm telling you, it's just better that way. Trust me. You can try and side scrape in this vehicle if you'd like, but you have to be very, very good with angling it. It is not going to side scrape like a Lova, like the German super heavies, you know, those kinds of vehicles. It just doesn't work like that. It's made to be hold down. It's a monster hold down. One of the scariest tanks to see hold down, which you will see in a couple moments when we face off directly with these two T-832s over here. And you're going to see it's very difficult to penetrate this vehicle when it's hold down, man. There's a couple of weak spots. You have the hatch right here when it's hold down. You can try and maybe sneak shots into the cheeks, but it's very, very difficult. Like, if you look at the way the tank's built, like, you're really not ever gonna hit here, or like, it's just such a hard angle to hit. So really, you have the hatch, and then you have the very I'm in a terrible spot to talk about this, but you have the very top of the hole here, where if you're showing just a sliver of it, you're not going to get penned. Any more than that, you will get penned. And that's the problem with this vehicle compared to something like the Lova, which I actually prefer the Lova more over this vehicle. I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't, but I prefer the Lova over this vehicle only because it actually has reliable upper front plate armor as well, whereas the T-832 or the T-32 does not. This plate, guys, you cannot rely on it. You can rely on it up to about here, where likely you'll get a bounce, but any lower than that, and you cannot rely on this armor at all. You know, even tier 7s are going to, you know, spank you all day in this area. So just keep that in mind with this vehicle. You have to be really, really good at knowing how much of the tank you're showing, which, as with the Lova, you don't really need to do that. That's why I think I prefer the Lova more. The gun is very accurate on the Lova as well, but the pen is way higher. It's a little slower, I guess, but I like it more just because you can side scrape easier, for one, and two, with the Lova you have that very good angled front plate, whereas with this one you don't. But I'm telling you, if you can get hold down in this thing and you know how to play it, you know how to poke up just enough so you're only exposing like the tank like this, you're going to be very, very hard to pen. And we're going to get into that now, guys. So take a look at this. You can see how I'm trying to go for the hatch here. Almost impossible, even at 100 meters away, right, to try and hit this guy in the hatch. So now I'm trying to side scrape on him a bit. We're going to try and sneak a shot into him here. He hits my track. I ricochet off the front plate, because like I said, if you're hitting this area right here, it's going to be tough, right? You're gonna ricochet off of this. So just keep that in mind. We're going for another shot here. I'm trying to get the top of this guy's tank. We get one there. It actually does hit the hatch, but it doesn't pen, and we hit this guy's periscope or whatever. So this is where this vehicle is performing very well. T-95 is able to kind of poke on this guy, and I'm able to get the jump on him again. And the other T-832 has really not been fighting me yet. He comes around much later, and it's just me and this guy fighting right now. So I'm going to hit this guy again in the hatch, and it doesn't pen again. And this is what I mean. Like, this tank is a monster hull down. So I find that I'm penned pretty easily in the top of the vehicle. We're able to get one there into him. But yeah, it's weird, man. Like, I find, guys, that I get penned a lot in this area, not even in the hatch, but just on the top of the tank, which seems like it would be such a difficult shot, but people seem to land it more than I think they would. It's just something to note, that spot. And again, if we're really looking at this, the way I'm angling this, like he's probably seeing something like this, the upper part of the tank is just going to be very difficult to hit. So I think it also depends on how you're really angled. I think the more you can get the tank facing upwards, the better, but keep in mind you only have 10 degrees of gun depression. So now I'm trying to pull around the corner, see where this other 832 is. He's still kind of way back there, so I'm just going to keep working on this other 832. And these guys are in a platoon. So I figured they would be working together, but this other guy has just been very passive. But we do have the T-95 here. We have the G-SOR here. I'm not too concerned. And now this guy is starting to put his gun in the way. And this is another trick that you can do. You can wave your gun around. I've seen Skill for LTU do it, but many other people do it as well. And I used to do it in the T-95 all the time, guys. You just wave your gun up. You do one of these. In the actual game, and it'll wiggle your gun around. You don't want to put the gun all the way up in the air, because I think if you do that, then people can pen underneath your turret. That's something to note. I don't know for sure about that. If I'm incorrect, let me know, but I'm pretty sure you could do it on the Lova, so I am careful with doing that. So I just smack an HE shell into this guy. I'm basically trying to ruin his gun, or damage his gun at this point. Like, to me, it's like, whatever, man, I'm just going to try and hit this guy. I'm just going to try and hit this guy's gun, because what else can I hit if he's just bouncing around like this? So I might as well throw something at him. So I throw an HE shell, hits for 27 freaking damage or whatever. So we're loading back, going back to the APCRs, and another thing to note about this vehicle, guys, is the penetration values. Okay, we talked about it with the Lova, how the Lova has like almost 300 millimeters of pen. Maybe I didn't mention this, but the pen is higher. Look at the pen on the, so I actually have to play to do this. Look at the pen on the APCRs, right? So this guy hits my hatch, but doesn't pen it. The pen on the APCRs is 252 millimeters. The standards is 218. So in my opinion, this just isn't a lot. We're able to smack a shot into this guy's lower plate, and now we have to back up. But I would think that this tank is pretty, you need to, you can't rely on the standards, I'll just say that. It's kind of gold dependent, is what they would call it. Gold round dependent, in my opinion. With today's meta, like, you're just going to have an easier time using the gold rounds, trust me. Because 252 for gold is kind of low when you're talking about the Lova having almost 300 on its gold APCR rounds. So we're able to hit this guy's lower plate, and yeah, man, like, I need to back down a little bit so I can hit this guy's hole, and you can see there that went through the hole like butter. Not the upper part though. Did you see how it went red when I went up a little bit? So you're going to ricochet on that upper part, and now this guy has an advantage on me. I'm trying to get one more into his cap before I back away, and I keep in mind, guys, if you've watched my channel before, I'm never toxic in the chat, but I just like to warn you, I called these people garbage because the G-SOR ran away from me, and look at this heavy sitting all the way in the back, the E75, man. And I think even the Progetto someone else ran away when both these two T-832s become one-shots, and these guys are just sitting way back here and being very passive. And we ended up losing the game probably because of that play from them. So here we are, we're now trying to find a shot into this guy. I'm able to get his hatch. So Just keep in mind where I'm shooting this vehicle, guys, so you can see for yourself kind of how to challenge people that are going to be playing in this vehicle or the T-32 or something similar to it, man. This is how you're going to do it. You need to, try and hit these areas, and this is how you're going to play it from your perspective, right? You need to try and angle the hole to keep it hidden, and you want to try and just stay hold down as much as possible. And you can also, like I said, sort of side scrape in this thing. That's what I'm trying to do, right? Like I have the angle I'm at right now is very optimal for this tank, because this guy, when he pulls around, is really only seeing, let's see, we can even go with the free camera and see exactly what he's seeing. He is seeing something like this. So we'll zoom in now. So he's seeing something like this, guys. So it's very difficult for him to be able to take a shot at me here. He might have the very corner of the track, but you just want to make it as hard as possible for people to be able to penetrate you in this vehicle. You need to make the armor work to the best of your ability. And if you can't do this, then you're not going to have a fun time in this tank, because this tank is all about hold down meta. I hate to say it, but that is the case. That's the way it is. And that's the way you have to play it. I will talk about my stats in this vehicle afterwards. I think we're able to get a penetration here into the T95. I'm trying to bounce around. Hopefully this guy won't pen me, but T-832 actually ends up getting the cleanup kill. And that's the game, guys. We did 1,940 damage, 154 assist, and yeah. I'm never like this in the chat, guys. I would just like to note that. Anyone who knows me knows I'm not like this in the chat, but I just couldn't take it anymore. After getting game after game after game with the worst teammates, I finally said, you guys are garbage. What are you doing? Like, what is this team doing, man? They're all over here. And, both T-832s are one-shots. And these guys are just way too passive, man. Like, I hate to say it, but, like, they're all sitting back here. And I get it. Like, I would be where the Skoda is right now if this situation was happening now, but it was very easy for like the G-Sword to come in, man, and try and clean up these guys, or at least try to hold this corner with me, so that when the 832s did come around, he could clean them up very easily. But honestly, I think because of no one helping me is going to be the reason that we end up losing this game. And I'm just going to actually free camera the rest of this game so you guys can see the end. It was very, very close, but we ended up losing it at the very end. So G-Sor is actually doing a good job here. He's kind of waiting. He's waiting until he can get the T-95 and like the other tank that was heading up this way to turn around, right? And he's waiting for the backside of those tanks, basically. But unfortunately, these guys end up pressing. They were like all one shots except for the Leo here, and yeah, we ended up losing the game, guys. So that's it. For whatever reason, because I went free camera and stuff, this messed up and it like added damage to my score or whatever, for whatever reason. But whatever, I've never seen that happen. Pretty wild. But that's the game, guys. Again, like, this tank is very, very powerful, but you really need to find a good hold down position with it. And if we could do that here, like if there was some other place I could go, I would have done it. I don't think there was. I'm not the best with heavies, but maybe we could have tried to retreat earlier. I just don't think it was possible, man, because we were one of the only people holding that corner. But again, guys, hold down, hold down, hold down. Hold down meta. That's what this tank is. It's insane hold down. So if you're going to play it, make sure you stay hold down. And that's all I can really say. Because every single game that I've been in with this game has been brawling, So that's what you have to do with it. If you're going to have a good score. So we'll keep this open for the thumbnail, and let's take a look at the end plates, guys. So we did 1,940 damage. This isn't any kind of an insane game. I wanted you guys to see the real games that I was getting into with this vehicle. And what I find is that in every single game that I play with this tank, if I'm going to have a good score, I really, really, really need to work for it. Like, there are some people that I watch that do 3k damage easily in this game because they're in tier 6, 7, 8 matchmaking. They hardly ever get tier 10 games. I'm watching these people on stream play like 10 games, and like 9 of them are tier 8 games or 7, 8 games or whatever, and like one is like a tier 9 game or a tier 10 game, which is ridiculous because it's like 50-50 for me. But I guess it's just the way the matchmaking works in World of Tanks. And it also seems like these people are shooting at people that are just running right after them or exposing their tanks in weird ways. Like every time I play this vehicle, this is the kinds of games I get into where I have to literally work my ass off to get 2k damage out of the game. You know, we're looking for weak shots, or weak spots rather, on vehicles. We're maneuvering our tank very well, guys, to try and block enemy fire. I got to work for it, man. So I'm hoping to finally get into some games where I don't have to work so hard to make this vehicle work. But in any case, guys, here it is. After this game, we were averaging 1600 damage in it with a 47% win rate, which for me is actually pretty bad, right? Like in the Lova, we're averaging 1800 damage, and the expected values on the vehicle in terms of XVM shows me as being 98th percentile for damage. 98th percentile for damage. And in this thing, we're just over 50%. So we're like 51st percentile in damage with this vehicle, and we're 98th percentile with the Lova. So if that gives you any kind of a clue or an idea as to the expected values with this vehicle, there they are, right? I mean, I know that these aren't the same numbers by any means, but I'm telling you, even getting 1800 damage would probably only be like 60th percentile in this vehicle. It's crazy. I don't know how these values are so inflated. People are just doing that well in this tank, or pretty much everyone that's playing it is really good with the tank. I claim to be an average player with this vehicle. I think I'm maybe a little bit better than some people with the Lova. Sure, 90th percentile in damage, but I think there are people that are a lot better than me in heavy tanks, right? I'm a light tank player mostly, so these tanks are not my forte, I'll say, but I just expected to have a better overall score. Like I think the games I've been getting into with this vehicle have not been the greatest, but I'd like to think that 1600 damage would at least be a little higher than 50% of players, right? Like it just seems like the numbers are very inflated with this vehicle, but it is pretty powerful. So maybe I'm just not playing it that well. I mean, it's very possible. But anyway, guys, here's the team score. Like there's nothing really special to note here. I just wanted to show you this insane brawling game, so you can really learn what this tank is doing, what it's looking like in battle, what it's like to go against, what it's like to play with, and yeah, 16 shots fired, 13 hits, 6 pens, and there you go, guys. But to kind of sum up everything with this vehicle, look at the aiming time, look at the dispersion. Like the gun is beautiful, guys. It really is. The gun is beautiful. The tank is brilliant hold down. It's powerful, but it just hasn't been working for me, honestly. And I'm not going to say I hate the tank. In comparison to like the 283, which was another vehicle that came out recently, I would much rather be playing this vehicle than the 283. I think the 283 is underpowered. I think this thing is pretty balanced. I think it's fine. It's just not really my cup of tea, for one. And two, I just think I've been pretty unlucky with the matchmaking. But what can you do? You can't sit here and complain about the matchmaking. I just have to play the vehicle a little bit better and be smarter with my choices, I suppose. But DPM is average, guys. Concealment is obviously not even relevant here. Look at the turret armor, 298. And sometimes, looking at this on paper isn't always great. Like it might say it has a lot of armor, but in reality it doesn't. Or it might say it has very little armor, but it's got really good angled armor, right? You guys know the way that works, but I'm telling you, armor is very effective on this vehicle. I'm running it with the I actually forget what this is called because I never run it, but it's for the survivability, right? Improves your hit points, guys. The Rammer and the Bounty Turbo, and I do have the maxed out modified configuration for this vehicle. And we got the crew pretty stacked. We did put the T-800 guy in this, so it all kind of makes sense. And if you get this vehicle if you got it at least from the Battle Pass, then you get it with Brother in Arms already on there. I think you can only get it from the Battle Pass, right? I don't think you can get this vehicle any other way. So I guess it comes with Brothers in Arms, and that really helps. It does. But yeah, Bounty Turbo, has been effective on this thing, and obviously I do run it with rations, guys, and that's it. Again, 1600 damage over 50 battles pretty much, and 47% win rate. We're not performing well in this vehicle, but I will say, even though I'm not doing well in it, I think it is a very powerful tank, guys. I don't think it's anything crazy like BZ-176. I'm not saying it's overpowered, but I think it just works pretty good in most situations, and it can be flexible as long as you can hide the damn hole. All right, guys, that's it. This has been a pretty long one, but I wanted to really talk in detail about the T-832 and, want to give you guys as much information as I possibly can from an average player's viewpoint, right? Because again, I'm only really good at light tanks, so when I go to play a vehicle like this, you're really just getting the view from an average player. Hope you enjoy, guys. I will catch you for the next one. Take care, and bye-bye now.